Angela and I often talk about what it means to be the beloved community. And it means that different people can come together and show love for one another in a way that is unmarveled. And that's what I saw. That's what I saw, and I've often said this, across ethnicity, race, life orientation, uh, social structures like class lines, interfaith, um, and it was all present, and it was present in love. And so, when I started reflecting on the food ministry at McGee Avenue Baptist Church, when I came back to McGee, I had also promised my predecessors that the food ministry at McGee, which had been in existence since 1981, I promised both of my predecessors that it would not die on my watch, not because of my ego, not because of McGee Avenue Baptist Church, but because it was a resource in the community. It was a resource that had been there to feed the hungry, to feed the homeless, to feel, to feed the dispossessed, um, the disregarded. um, and I understood that it was one of the most powerful things that we could do in that community. But I also understood that it needed a lot of support. The reality is, what we have seen over the years is that the need has increased. It is not dissipated. It is not decreased. What has decayed oftentimes is our care for one another. What has dissipated is the space of civility and the real meaning of what true sisterhood or true brotherhood is about, for people coming to the table, to fellowship, to listen, to talk. The table represents more than just what we want to put into people's stomachs. And make no mistake about that, that is crucial. Folks need food.
Yeah.
But what I've come to realize in that space, what they need, as much as they need physical nourishment, they need somebody that gives a damn. I hope I can say that on Zoom.
You're right. You're
But
right.
somebody who cares enough
Fair enough.
to say that, you know what, you are welcome here.
That's right.
And that's not easy, to welcoming people at the table.
No.
That's not easy to embrace people that other people don't want to embrace. I personally count it as a joy.
My word.
I personally count it as a joy. And the reason I count it as a joy is because I am not so arrogant to think that my journey is an absolute journey. I'm not so smart to think that because I walk a certain road, that everybody is going to walk the exact same road, nor should they. But it does mean that I have to have the patience and the heart and the love to listen, to hear, and allow folks to be themselves. And I laugh with Reverend Angela in this food ministry space that we want to be radically inclusive. And I'm saying, now, if you tell me you're the axe murderer, well, I might have to give you a plate to go. I may not be able to bring you into the social hall space, but the reality is that oftentimes we're too quick to draw lines.
Right.
And this ministry has to be something where we're not afraid to color outside of the lines. The truth is, the ministry has been under many challenges for the last 40 years. The funding that we once got from the city pretty much decreased to a point where it's gone.
Hmm.
Um, we've been blessed because through different grants, through gifts, family foundations, individual, and the giving of the congregation, we've been able to sustain it. But it's sustained by a thread. It's sustained by a thread. And part of the vision is one of the reasons we included and incorporated the garden because there were two things that were crucial to that. One, we wanted to show that we could grow a significant amount of food, not just on site at the church, but we also take care of four other garden spaces throughout the city of Berkeley. And we add those to the things that we do into the kitchen. The second thing was we were going to build programs around that as well, that not only with the food ministry, but we would use the garden to teach healthy living, healthy gardening, and cooking to young people. And then for our older young adults, we would use it as a job training piece where they could actually learn urban agriculture and landscaping as a skill while also learning entry level culinary arts and food safety procedures as a skill, all the while serving and volunteering with the food ministry, really building a cycle, not just of radical inclusivity, but rethinking our food system. That looks. And one of the things I'm proud about is that we're one of the only few faith institutions in the East Bay that both has a feeding program, a small food distribution program,
Hmm.
and a garden at the same time. Many other congregations have one or the other. They may have two out of the three, but we have three things that we do and that we're building on. And we still have room to grow. And we're doing it on a shoestring. And that's one of the reasons why we need help. Um, Reverend Angela and I began talking months ago about building, what we call a circle of care, where we would include other faith institutions, other nonprofits, and individuals who would want to build this system of care around this feeding ministry, that we could really grow it, not just grow it with dollars, but grow it with capacity, grow it with volunteers, but most importantly, grow it with love so that we could expand. There was one time during the pandemic when we really thought the food ministry was going to close. But because of a few special gifts that we got, we were not only able to sustain it, but for 2 years during the pandemic, we were able to feed 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to get back to, and then some. We want to increase and we want to build that capacity, but we need the help of those friends in the community, those partners that are walking with us, that really see that vision of what we can do to grow. Um, Somebody said to me the other day, Pastor Mike, that garden is not big enough to feed a whole community. And I said, but the heart is big enough to bring the whole community in. And the reality is, we've learned technical techniques, right? That you can grow a lot on a small site. But more importantly, it is a space that brings people together. And when they see the garden, They see the food ministry, they see the people there, and they want to help grow. They want to help serve, they want to help volunteer. And we have been lifted by the volunteers that have come from Netivot and from Agape, from Congregation Beth Israel. We have, we have grown from the brothers that come from Live Free,
Right.
that are volunteering, and people from come from the community. Lorenzo and I were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and he was pressing the need um, about the families and the issues of childhood and youth hunger that he sees up close and personal. And the reality is that, this thing about no kid going hungry, the reality is we live in a nation, and quite frankly, we live in a world where it is a misnomer that there's not enough food.
Right. Right.
That is really simply not true.
Not true.
It is the way that we farm and feed people that is a real problem in terms of how and who has access in our society. And so we have to really rethink. We have to really get back to some things that really are very practical. And my grandmother, um, my grandmother had about 7, 8 kids, and she was a widow by the time she was 30 years old. And she had a small family farm, around 20 acres. And she worked the farm with her family year round until harvest was there. And then she'd have to go into town and scrub floors for white folks in their houses.
Mm.
That's what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And depend on the older kids to take care of the farm and the home while she was in town, trying to make money for her family. My grandmother never finished more than the 5th grade, but she was the wisest woman I ever knew. And the one thing she always taught us and always told us about the importance of family, the importance of community, and the importance of faith. The other thing, when I came back to McGee and I started looking into the eyes of the people that would come and eat in that meal program, I started looking, and many of them were the same young people that Coach Lorenzo and I had grown up with.
Mm-hmm.
They were our friends that were there now for whatever reason. And the truth of the matter is that some of them don't just go to the food program. I'm a neighborhood kid. Some of them still come and knock on my door. And when I was up and able, I'd get up, even on my walker, and I'd have to go down. Some of them, I'd have to come and get something out the refrigerator to feed them and
Mm-hmm.
try to start them on their way.
Mm.
But there's another part of that that says we as a community, we as a community should be able, with all of our resources, to come together, not because we can, not because it looks good or it's fashionable, but because that same call beckons us to be the change that we want to see. We often talk about change in our community. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I saw that change in action and I saw the possibilities. I saw a young man baking rolls.
Yeah, yeah.
Saw a kid baking rolls. I shouldn't call you a kid, you're an adult.
Oh, that's right, yeah, you're 18 now, right? Yeah.
But I saw a young man baking rolls. I saw people of different faiths
Yep.
laughing and talking and serving. And Chef Mark Howard called me, well, I called him and I said, you and the team did a great job. And I said, I know you're really tired. And he said, Pastor, I'm tired. I am. And he said, but man, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. He said, to be in there with everybody. He said, and they were so helpful and they were so happy to be there. And he said, I'd do it all over again. And that is the spirit of what we're trying to build with this circle of care. We're trying to build a circle of care, a circle of support, not just to feed people in their stomachs, but to feed people's hearts. And you know what the beauty of this is? It's not just the people that are hungry, because everybody's hungry for something. Some folks are surely hungry for food, but there are people that come to serve, to volunteer, and they're hungry for purpose.
Mhm.
They may be hungry for belonging. They may be hungry for meaning in their own life. And we don't know how our service and how our gifts not only touch the people that it's intended to touch, but there's the residual effect, because it may touch Angela. And by touching Angela, it may touch Lorenzo. And by touching Lorenzo, it may activate Esther. And by activating Esther, it may touch Pastor Dwayne. And by touching Pastor Dwayne, Liam might look out and say, you know what? The world that I've grown up in is not a hopeless world. In spite of all the pain and all the turmoil, there's still good. There's still good in people, and there's still good in this world. And I believe that if we come together to be together and be one together in these spaces, I do believe that we not only will build this feeding ministry, we build a model in a place called Berkeley.
Hmm.
We build a model in a place. The work that we're doing around food and food justice, around feeding people, the work that we're trying to do around youth development and violence interruption, we are not just going to be the model, we're going to break the model. We're going to break the model and we're going to illustrate and demonstrate that we can really truly be Berkeley for all. We often say that, but last Wednesday, I saw the people living it together. And so I just thank you. I appreciate everything Reverend Angela's doing in this wonderful space. You can see the art around you. And it's not just the art that she hangs on the wall, it's the art that she does in the community, the art that she does with young people, the art she does with families and parents, the therapy that she offers to people. Come in and support this studio. This cause is a worthy one for you to share, for you to give to. This studio is worthy for you to support, not just on today, but throughout all your days, because it doesn't just stand for authenticity of art, but it stands for authenticity of purpose. and the personhood that she is. And so we thank you again. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everything that you do in this space. And we love you and we hope to see you soon. God bless you.